So, I'd like to tell you the story of a blue blanket. I opened our closet door not very long ago and I saw this blue hand knit blanket on the top shelf of the closet. I've never really liked this blanket. It's not a great shade of blue and it's made out of acrylic yarn. But the thing I dislike most about the blanket is that it was knit by my Aunt Esther. And Esther actually died holding a grudge against me. So, just in the way of background, Esther was my dad's oldest sister. She was the eldest of the six children in their family. And the Hanson family grew up in eastern Washington state during the Depression. So it was tough times, days without food, only goat's milk to drink. The kids would go to school without shoes, that kind of situation. Um, and my dad, actually, who was 20 years older than my mom, was born in 1926. So when I was a kid, Esther just seemed ancient. And what I remember about her is that she was this pudgy, pink faced lady with this white permed hair. So she wasn't like a great positive sort of character in my life. Um, she had a husband named Mark who I liked much better. Mark was a kind man. He was always willing to tell us stories. And I felt that somehow Esther was always waiting for me to act like a brat or something. She was not a very warm person. But she was a conscientious relative. She sent Christmas cards and remembered my birthday. And she gave me a gift when I graduated from high school, which I don't actually remember what it was, but apparently that was at the root of her grudge. So, even though they were conscientious relatives, we didn't see them very much. They sent Christmas cards. And as they got older, Esther began to pass on family possessions, which was always really special. She sent my grandfather's immigration papers for when he had come from Norway to Angel Island in San Francisco. And I think it was around this time that the blue blanket made its way to me. So one day my dad called and said, Esther would like to know if you're interested in a traditional Norwegian dress that my grandmother had sewn by hand. She had handed it down to Esther, and now that Esther was in failing health, she wanted another female family member to have it. And I honestly felt honored. I love the idea of having a physical object that would tie me to my grandmother and my Norwegian heritage and the other women in my family, even Esther, who, had always been a little bit of a prickly character. I started to think about like how I would display the dress in our house, maybe in one of those glass shadow boxes, and how much my own daughters would like seeing it. But then the next time I talked to my dad, he said that Esther had changed her mind about the dress. And I said, "What do you mean she changed her mind?" And he said, "Well, I guess she gave you a present when you graduated from high school and you never sent her a thank you note." A thank you note from high school. I mean, that was in 1990. I was a teenager. So the affection that I had felt for Esther vanished. All I could think of again was that pink, pinched face and the permed white hair. And, it was clear to me that she had really never liked me. So Esther died sometime after that, and I felt sorry for my father, of course, because it was his sister and he loved her. But for me, I just felt bitter. I felt judged and angry and embarrassed, quite frankly. So it was around that time that I opened up the closet and saw the blanket, and I was like, I am getting rid of that thing. It is going to the Goodwill. I'm never going to see it again, and I am going to have the last word. And then I realized that if I got rid of the blanket and kept hating Esther, I would just be perpetuating this cycle of negativity. And I think that's basically what happened to her. Like she had a grudge that she held against me, and up until like all the way to the end. And that actually, when I thought about it, made me feel really sad, and I didn't want to be that person. So I mean, I am very grateful that I feel like, as I've gotten older, I have been able to develop a bit more compassion for people. And in that moment, I sort of was able to put myself in Esther's shoes as someone who'd grown up with not a lot in a really difficult time. And probably a thank you note meant a lot to her, and I could understand why she would be resentful of, a privileged 17-year-old girl who didn't acknowledge her act of kindness. So the end of the story is that I forgave Esther for not giving me the Norwegian dress, and I forgave her, I think, for holding that grudge against me. I still don't love the blanket. Still not my favorite color, but I appreciate that Esther knitted it with her own hands, and probably with a lot of love.